Welcome back to the Metal Exchange. I am Chris. I'm here with Justin, and we have a very special guest, Marcela Bovio of Stream of Passion and Arion, and many other great bands that she has been with over the years. We did an episode a couple weeks ago on the Stream of Passion debut album, Embrace the Storm, and we thought, who better to talk to than the voice of that album, Ms. Bovio. Lovely to have you. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to the Metal Exchange.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm doing really good.
Happy to have you. Justin, how are you today?
I'm doing great, man. It's a pleasure, as I said, to have you. We some time ago had Arjun on the podcast, but we talked solely about Arion and that project, obviously. And so your name came up, but we didn't have a chance to actually delve into kind of the beginning stages of your Stream of Passion project. So this is a pleasure for us. So thanks again.
Awesome.
So tell us a little bit about how that recording came to be, insofar as I understand there was some sort of a casting call where you had kind of applied to work with Arjun on the Arion material. How did that come about? How did you even hear about that?
I heard it I knew about Arion already, of course. I had a couple of albums, The Dream Sequencer being my favorite. And a friend of mine told me about it, that he had posted this contest, open call on his website to give someone unknown the chance to sing one of the roles in The Human Equation. And I think Arjen really liked the idea of doing something like that because of the ambient project that he had just done before that album. So a friend of mine, I had a circle of friends, and they were all into metal and prog and stuff. And he's like, hey, Arjen Lucassen has this, contest. You should send him something. I'm like, come on, man. When is he going to pick this random person from Mexico? But he convinced me, and I did send it. And 2 weeks later, I got an email from Arjen oh my God, this is great. I sent him a CD from a band that I used to have in Mexico called Elfonia, which was atmospheric, but also kind of proggy and also kind of dark. So he loved it, and I ended up, flying to the Netherlands, to Europe for the first time ever, and meeting him in his studio, and recording with him at the studio, and that went super well. And he even gave me the chance to pitch some ideas and things, and that was great. So after the album was released, I got an email from him hey, what if we would write something together? And that's what this album ended up being.
It's so funny because one of the things that we had talked about with him was his, I'll say, unique eye for talent. And this was independent of you, but the way he kind of structures those projects, bringing in singers, some that have very big names in the industry, but others who people may not have heard of. And it's his way to kind of blend that together is nothing short of remarkable. And that's why those projects feel so big. And obviously that was a fantastic start for you. Had you been listening to that kind of music up until that point? I know that you've got extensive training and that you had studied music, as a child and whatnot. But how did you get to, into the prog world? Because it's one of those things that usually people take a detour into. They don't usually start there.
Yeah, no, I remember exactly how it happened, and because I started listening to metal for some reason, and then I landed there. Used to be, I'm from Monterrey, Mexico, sure. And there used to be a metal show at midnight on Sunday, and it would last for 2 hours, and they would play all of this music. And then I ended up listening to a lot of bands a lot of Dutch bands as well, The Gathering and After Forever and Celestial Season. And when I showed one of my friends, my metal friends, one of these bands, and the fact that there were a lot of melodies intertwining and everything, is oh, you should check out Dream Theater. You might like that. And then I ended up listening to Awake was the first album from Dream Theater that I ever listened to, and I just went through the rabbit hole, but listening to some modern things, but also tracking back to King Crimson and Rush and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and it's just it all spiraled.
I think we had a similar experience when we had first been exposed to both Dream Theater and Stradivarius on like the power metal side. It was just an eye-opening experience because in America, you weren't seeing the videos on MTV. You weren't hearing that music on the radio. But once you got that exposure in the 90s, it was, you know, like the eyes opened up and then you just had to have more. I feel like it's so much easier now because you can go on Spotify and just listen to anything and go down those rabbit holes that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But at the time, you were just happy to have a disc by any band because they were so hard to come by.
Absolutely. And I remember also in Monterey, we had these like flea markets with people importing CDs from Europe and everything, you know, so it's just like, you know, as much money as you could save, you would take with you and then just like, look at all, this looks cool, you know, like, and that's it. And then you just buy an album and discover things. Yeah, it was pretty nice.
That would have been nice for us to have. We had to go to like, you know, regular record stores like, you know, the Tower Records and if the album wasn't released in the US, it wasn't there. So like there were albums that we wanted to listen to that we just couldn't get our hands on without having to order it or find a specialty store. So it would have been great to have a little marketplace to go to that sold.
But it still took forever. I remember ordering CDs that took like 4 months to get there, and then you finally have it in your hands, and it's like,
and you almost forgot that you ordered it because it just shows up out of nowhere. It was, and I feel like in many ways we're having the same issues now, just because if you want the physical media, it's a whole different world than just clicking a button and listening.
Those are getting harder to come by again. I
think people are gravitating more towards vinyl now than CDs. They're going more out of their way to get a vinyl copy of something.
Right.
I feel like you either go digital or you go vinyl. Like nobody's really buying CDs anymore, which I don't know. That was such
a prediction, though, that CDs are going to make a comeback.
I hope so. I mean, people are making cassettes again. Like,
yes,
I think
that's my point.
Yeah,
it is a better medium.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely.
More reliable medium.
It's one of those things that's like what's old is new again at some point. You just have to get there.
What was it like for you going to Europe for the first time, and how old were you at the time, and was that like a really overwhelming experience?
Oh, for sure. Oh, God. I mean, I was very excited, but also slightly terrified because I knew what big of a perfectionist Arjen was, so I practiced a lot. I was very young, so I mean, I did have some talent, but I don't think that I was, you know, such a great singer yet. So I practiced a lot because, you know, I knew how perfectionist he is. But to my surprise, in the studio, he's the kindest person. And also, I mean, if you've talked with other people that have worked with him, you've probably heard this every single time, but he knows exactly what he needs to tell you in order to get the best performance out of you. And, you know, at that moment, I felt like I've never sounded better, you know, than with him in the studio. So no, it was brilliant. It was very exciting. It was a little bit scary, but once I was there, it was just like, damn, you know, like a little fairy tale moment.
Do you recall what song or songs you sent him as part of the casting project, or was it your own music, or was it something that you re-recorded an old Arion song, if you remember?
Yeah, both. So the first thing that I sent was a CD from my band, like I mentioned, and then I think he sent me a couple of bits from the album. And also asked me to record like Valley of the Queens and maybe something else from a previous album, but I don't remember. But I do know that, you know, he was going back and forth between me and 2 other people, I think. So I just sent them a lot of stuff, and some things I recorded like multiple times. Like, do you like this better? Do you like this better? till he finally
staying on top of him drove the point home that you were interested.
I really tried my best.
After you record with him, and he kind of says to you, you know, would you like to kind of go out and do our own thing? Which I guess was really the genesis of Stream of Passion. Did you start thinking about ideas or songs that you kind of had in the back burner that you thought might be good for the project? Or how did the songwriting process come about for what would be your debut album with Stream of Passion?
Yeah, it's funny to think about that. But back then, I never wrote any music from scratch myself. So I would always take someone else's musical sketch and then just write the melodies and the lyrics on top of that. And that's how we did this album as well. So Arjen sent me these demos, and you can still find them somewhere, of just him and acoustic guitar. And I would write the melodies and the lyrics on top of that. And that's how it started. So it was, I had no idea what we were making. And I don't know if he did either, but I thought it was going to be like a very folky thing. And then when I wrote the melodies like I did, because I remember that he said, like, I really like ambient. Sometimes I think things could be a little bit catchier, or sometimes things could be a little bit more concise. And I thought, like, oh, you want catchy? I can do catchy. So let's do some catchy melodies here and there. And then after I sent them, he's like, okay, now I'm going to work on these songs. And what do you mean? And then he sent me these other versions with the drums and the heavy guitars and everything, like, oh my God, this is completely different. So I think it was very cool in a way, because neither of us knew what the other person was going to do. I know that he was also very surprised at the things that I came up with, and vice versa. So that was very interesting, you know.
How did the rest of the band
ahead.
come together? Drums and guitars and bass. Do you remember how the rest of the band was kind of recruited?
Well, I think Arjen just started like blocking people from, things that were already sent to him via the internet, and people that he knew through his network. I know that Davey Mickers, who drummed the first album, I think he had sent him something before, of him drumming. I think Johan Arjen knew through Joost van den Broek, because Joost and Johan used to be friends when they were in high school. And Joost knew that Johan was a really good bass player. And then Alejandro he knew through me, because Alejandro was a keyboard player from my band, Delphonia, who he also really liked. And then Laurie, I think he also learned... he also met online somehow. Don't remember exactly. But yeah, it was never, I don't think the idea was initially to put a band together, but, and I don't know how I managed to get that to happen. But I think at some point I'd actually said, like, wouldn't it be great if it was a band, and then everyone would have, input, into the arrangements of the songs, and everyone did, in a way, a little bit. So, yeah, it was very cool.
Did you kind of envision the project to be anything more than a one-off, or was it? I mean, because it obviously would go on to even greater heights with subsequent albums, but at the time, was it just such a just kind of a seed that you just were going to see where it grew? Because it sounds to me like you just didn't know what was happening. You didn't know what kind of style you were going for. You just kind of threw stuff against the wall, and out came this gem of an album.
Yeah, that was exactly it. I don't think, I don't think I was like, I was just happy to be there, like not
Sure.
really like thinking like, in big schemes, future, it was just, oh, this is great. And let's see what happens. Yeah.
When it came to the recording process, I'm assuming he was very receptive to those ideas that you brought to the table. I know you were blown away by some of the stuff that he came back with, but was it a back and forth and a true collaboration in that sense? Yeah,
I think so. Like I said, the initial the interesting thing about writing like this is he would send a sketch, and then he would have to wait for like a week for me to send something back.
Right.
And then, so the fact that you're not doing it together in a room means that there is no discussion. There is no making of a consensus. And I mean, lucky for me, I don't remember like sending anything that he said like, "Ooh, I don't like that," and the other way around as well. So in a way, you're like surprising the other with something very different, but also really combining two very different styles and backgrounds.
I was going to ask you, because these are, it's the early days, it's still the early days of the internet in the early 2000s. You're sending stuff back and forth. Do you kind of prefer that type of collaboration than now, where files can be sent back immediately between folks, or people just get into the studio and record? Do you have a preference, or are they both good for their own? I mean, I guess there's pluses and minuses to both.
I think they both serve a purpose. I am way more used to writing on my own and, sitting down with an idea anyway. So this was great for me, because if you put me with someone in a studio, like, come up with something right now, I'm like, it's not the easiest of things for me. I like to sit down. I like to, let things bubble in my head, and then I think that's when I can make the most interesting things. So I really did like this. I mean, I guess if he would have told me more often, this sucks, maybe I wouldn't have liked it that much. But luckily for me, it didn't happen. I think we had like a couple of things like, this might be too simple, or this sounds already like something else that you already wrote, so maybe you can try something different. But he gave me a lot of freedom to do whatever I wanted, and that was a huge compliment.
Before the album was released, did you have any favorite tracks or anything that you were like, oh, this one's going to be, I think, people are really going to like this one? Or was there anything like in your head that you were like, oh, that one I think is going to be, really good?
And then I think maybe even more than now, because I had like less experience writing music, but they were all like my babies, also had a very big problem with, like having things changed. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. I really liked Wherever You Are. I remember really liking the demo of that one. But yeah, no, it's, I think all of them, have a special place in my heart. I'm looking at the track list because I hadn't done that in a really long time. Yeah.
Obviously, Wherever You Are was the first single that had been released from the album. Was that part and parcel to the fact that you just happened to really appreciate that tune?
Oh no, those things were, I think,
the label
decisions.
As it so often is, I suppose.
Yeah.
Did you see, or did you feel like there was a opportunity to, at that point, perform these songs live, and was that something you were excited to do? I know that the DVD, there was a DVD that came out, not too long after this, and it's such a cool, like, kind of almost like a Arion Presents Stream of Passion, where there's a bunch of Arion songs and stuff like that. I think there's even is there a Star One song, I think, on that DVD as well? Possibly. I don't remember, but I was just wondering, like, if you were thinking at that point in time, like, is this something we're going to be able to do live? And like, was that an exciting, prospect for you?
I don't remember. To be honest, I think I was just so preoccupied with doing a good job with writing the songs and performing on the album. But I think when we were done, when we were writing the music, I think Arjen started to get excited about it, and then he started showing to some people, and some people started to get very excited about it. So he knew someone at Sony BMG in the Netherlands and the Benelux, and and they started talking, like to release the album, and also with Inside Out, and he had this booker who like booked all of the major festivals. So immediately then like things like, okay, like there's interested, and this is going to be like huge, and I'm like, oh my god. I don't think I went there with expectations, but then the moment that we started talking about like, yeah, we're going to do a European tour, and I'm like, damn, I was still living in Mexico back then. That's something that I had dreamed of, like, so yeah, it was super exciting. Also terrifying, but very exciting.
Was the DVD the first Stream of Passion performance, or were you able to play
No, that was, if I'm not mistaken, we had a tour that was like 12 or 14 dates, and that was, I think, the last or one of the last shows of the tour.
Okay.
So I think Arjen planned this very smart, because we had the chance, because we never played together before. This band was created, like picking people from different corners of the world and putting them together. It was, it was very interesting, but also, very exciting, like, so we had a few rehearsals together, and then we had the most of the tour, and then those recordings were made. Yeah.
Did you? Oh, I guess the question I would have is, as you start playing, there's a buzz that's kind of growing with the band. At what point did you decide, we should do something else or make this more than a one-off? And then obviously you'd go on to other albums and tours from there. So talk a little bit about what happened next after the album was released, and then ultimately what decided for you to kind of split from Arjen, at least for this project.
Yeah. So, Arjen is a man of many projects and many things. And I think I kind of knew from the beginning that he was not going to stay with Stream of Passion forever. His creative ambition is way too big for that, and I totally understand that. So when he decided, like, listen, I'm going to step away, but like, you can do whatever you want with the name and with the band, because it was supposed to be a project for me anyway. That's when we thought, like, well, we've got the momentum, and we have a really good connection with the rest of the people, so let's just see what happens.
I know that you would obviously come over with Stream of Passion in 2016 and play the United States. It is one of my big regrets. I've been attending ProgPower for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it is with big regret that unfortunately I missed that year because of some personal reasons. But by all accounts, it was a phenomenal performance. How did you feel about coming over? I can
attest to that. I was there.
Yeah.
It was
exactly.
It was wonderful.
Do you remember that show, and do you have anything that stood out about that?
Well, I was just a great. To be honest, the first thing that I think about going to Atlanta is going to the Silver Skillet.
Nice.
You and me both. That is a breakfast like no other.
A stack of 3. No, well, I did order 3, but I absolutely could not finish the 3 pancakes. No, but it's just that trip was pretty magical for me, because we not only played with Stream of Passion, but also with the Gentle Storm.
Yes,
and that was a magical period, because I am a huge Anneke van Giersberg fan, and in the 90s I went to see The Gathering as a little teenage girl when they played in Mexico. So it was a dream come true to play with her, and to be able to also join with Stream of Passion. That was very exciting. It's ProgPower USA. It just feels like a big family, and everyone is so welcoming and so nice. And I met Devin Townsend, and I told him, like, hey, we sung in an album together. He says, yeah, of course, I know. I listen to Stream of Passion all the time. And I'm like, what? Devin Townsend. So no, it was brilliant. Yeah.
You had played with Mayan as well at ProgPower, correct? Was that before or after?
Before or after?
That was after. I think that was a couple of years after, because that I was blessed to see, and that was actually going to lead me. I'm glad you brought that up. Is anything happening with that project now? I know that there were a couple of albums that were spectacular and whatnot, but it's also a very big production just because of the number of folks that are involved and the number of people that record on the albums and whatnot.
We keep in touch. I know that there are some plans to do some things next year. Not very concretely looking into, like releasing anything yet, but I hope so. Everyone has been going through. Most of us have been going through a lot of turmoil in the past few years. That seems to be settling down for most people now, luckily. So who knows? I know that we have the best time with our group because it's just such a fun bunch of people. So yeah, we'll see.
So I'm glad to hear that everything seems to be back on the right track for everyone. That's obviously very good to hear. I know that with regard to Stream of Passion itself, you kind of decided to record that last show or have that last show in late 2016, but fortunately decided to kind of come back together in 2022, 2023, even went back on stage and actually played some shows and released a new EP, which is fantastic. I'm curious about where the future lies for the band, right? Because I know people are still clamoring to see you guys live and would love to hear new music from Stream of Passion.
Yeah, I think for that matter, it's a little bit the same, as we get older and figure out that we cannot do 1,000 things at the same time as much as we wanted to. We've been taking it a little bit more easy this year. I had been busy with a solo project and with Arian and Johan. The two of us are kind of like now pretty much the core and the management of the band. And he was not expecting to tour us intensively this year with Blind Guardian, and he did. And because in 2023 we had the same thing, but we did release the EP and we had the reunion shows and everything, and we were both. I think we bluffed ourselves through a burnout, to be honest, because we were so busy. We're talking about it last year, end of last year, because, 20th anniversary, we could have totally done something. That was absolutely the idea. And then we realized, you know what? It's going to be too much, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be too much. So let's, we'll, let it rest and we'll see 2026.
Yeah. That's a nice thing is that you can just kind of say, when it works for everybody, we can get everybody in a room together, figure it out. We don't have to make an album every single year and go on tour every single year.
Yeah.
We'll do it when we can do it,
Exactly. I mean, I know that that's not the most comforting thing to hear for people that are, thankfully and very graciously waiting for us to, get our asses moving. But we're really grateful for their patience.
Yeah, but you know what? I think people get more excited when it finally does happen because they've waited for so long. It's like, oh, it's been 7 years. I'm more excited than I would have been if you guys released an album last year. Absolutely.
And to be fair, I think the music is only going to be better for it, because when we did this EP, I mean, when we stopped, we really were a little bit fed up with a lot of things and the format and the what Stream of Passion has to be, which it has turned to be something on its own. For me, it felt a little bit restrictive, and at that moment, it doesn't feel nice to try to force yourself to do something. And now, years later, I was like, I've been writing these songs, and I have all of these songs that definitely sound more like Stream of Passion songs, not necessarily Marcela songs. So then it makes more sense, when things happen.
If I could rewind back just a little bit, what was the creative process like once Arjen wasn't involved anymore, and you guys were kind of on your own? Did you quickly become the head force as far as songwriting goes? What was that like for you? What was the I get the vibe that Arjen is just a very organized and particular kind of guy, and now you're kind of on your own, and that leadership is gone. What was the creative the creative process like without him involved?
Yeah, I really thought now I have to step it up and doggy I'm sorry, it's distracted now. No, I really felt okay, this is the moment for me to step it up and try to write, like be the main songwriter of the band. And, I didn't think that I could, but then you start doing it, and the more that you do it, the better it gets. And luckily, but for some reason, everything like came together, because I had a period of my life where I was studying piano, and I had a period in my life when I was studying guitar, and a period of my life that I've been studying violin. So all of the accessories that we needed sort of like came together. And yeah, that's what we did. I think most of the initial song sketches came from me, and also, with the rest of the band, we really worked on the details and the arrangements. And we had, for the first album, was co-produced by Joost van den Broek, who, of course, from Arion, and also Jochem Jacobs, who used to play guitar in Textures. So that was a very interesting combo, because they both came from very different places, and I think we really got the best of both worlds for that album. Yeah.
What's interesting to me is that through the course of your career, whether it be your solo albums, your work with Stream of Passion, Arion, you seem to be kind of doing a lot of different types of projects. The bands don't have many common threads. I mean, Mayan just sounds nothing like Stream of Passion, and there's a beautiful thing about both. So I guess my question is that because your tastes are changing, or you're just looking to find a new creative outlet? What is it that kind of makes you gravitate towards so many different types of music?
I like a lot of things. I've been through, just as I went through the prog rabbit hole, I also went through a jazz rabbit hole and a world music rabbit hole. And then like a classic, like I was raised with classical music, and then I started taking singing lessons, and I like got really like into opera and classical singing. And so yeah, I like a lot of different things. And I mean, to be fair, like prog is, I think, something that I gravitate towards the most, but it's also because it's the most permissive of genres.
I find the same thing just from the fan perspective, which is that I like a lot of different music, and the older I get, the more I start looking for things, whether it be extremely heavy stuff or stuff that may be more jazz or classical influence. But I find myself centered in prog just because it lets me kind of explore all those different genres.
Right. Maybe I should just follow Arjen's footsteps and make an album with everything in it, and not give a
throw it all together, and somehow it works, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean that's brilliant, isn't it? Like he just like took the gamble, and it's like totally paid off.
We have listeners that are big fans of jazz, so I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, like, what are some of your favorite jazz artists and records? I feel like they would appreciate hearing that. I
listened to a lot of Pat Metheny, because Pat Metheny was like my gateway to a lot of people. But I don't know, like I really loved a few albums by Bill Frisell, Dave Holland. I also listened a lot to Cassandra Wilson, fantastic voice. And then I like pedaled back to listening to Ella Fitzgerald a lot, and Sarah Vaughan, So, yeah, of course, a lot of voices, but also, it's just like the kind of like the stuff like Dave Holland would do. But also, there's a beautiful festival here in the Netherlands called North Sea Jazz, where sometimes you get like people together and things happen, like in the moment, that are amazing. So I saw Chick Corea, for instance, play with his band. That's incredible. And then this project with Richard Bona, the bass player, and this accordion player, I forgot his name, from France. And they were doing this, they had a Latin drummer, I remember. And it was this like jazz, but also like chanson, and also like Latin, and it's brilliant. If I had all of those skills to mix all of these things, I would be so happy.
Speaking of the Netherlands, when did you decide that that's where you were gonna like move your operations and just be like, I want to live here now?
Well, when actually it was pretty much after Arjen left the band, because we knew, listen, the beginnings of the band were like fairy tale luxury positions. I mean, Sony BMG flew me over to the Netherlands for 3 days so that Arjen and I could sing a 20-minute set in one of their executive parties. Wow. Just with him on guitar. So that was bougie as it gets. But then we're like, listen, you guys, we don't have the money anymore to fly me back and forth. So if we want to, like take more opportunities, it makes more sense. So I did. Yeah.
Before we look ahead to the stuff you're working on now and what the future holds for you, I'm just curious about the lyrics you come up with, because especially on this, Embrace the Storm, but other albums as well, I find the lyrics to be extremely thought-provoking and personal in many ways. And I'm wondering if you have a certain inspiration or where you draw inspiration from to write those lyrics.
I think a lot of, and I can look at this very differently now than what I did 20 years ago. But for the longest time, I have been a very reserved person and a very guarded person concerning emotions. Life has thrown me some punches and that has changed. But now I can really see how, for me, like connecting emotionally, the only way that I could really do that was through music and through the lyrics that I wrote. So they were really like very personal emotions that I really wanted to share with people, but I didn't dare to, So especially in this album, there is a lot of that, and there's also a lot of the excitement of being involved in it. Passion is, for instance, the second track is absolutely 100% about surrendering to this need that you have to express yourself through music, which is also a thing that I always come back to in every album, I think.
Yeah, it's beautiful when you have a creative outlet which kind of lets you either let your guard down or expose yourself, as opposed to, I guess, addressing it head on with interpersonal relationships or family or whatnot. Oh, no. So I think there's something.
Too scary.
God, we can't have that. So let's find another way.
No, but really, it was my the music was my savior, for that matter. Like it brought me closer to people. I met a lot of people that are still super important in my life through music, and it helped me connect and it helped me feel seen and heard, and that was incredible.
Can you talk a little bit about Harmonies Unveiled? I mean, we're like literally days away from, or days past those performances, but you can check that stuff out on your Facebook page. There's some really great photos and videos and stuff. Can you talk a bit about how that came about and what that was like doing those performances? Because that was a really kind of neat and different live performance. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been writing also solo music for 10 years as well now. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So, I've been releasing music solo for a while. It's a little bit less heavy and more acoustic, themed. Also very, very much, whatever I want it to be. So not extremely conventional for that matter. But, I teach at this school here in Eindhoven, the Netherlands, called the Metal Factory. I teach vocals there, and this school is basically all focused on metal music. And one of my students there, we have someone now at the school. Her name is Nina Grimm, and she is from Italy, and she had already graduated from the conservatory in Milan, but she decided that she wanted to come over and study at the Metal Factory and study with me as well. So part of just like thinking like, how can we like challenge you in your study? At some point we came up with the idea like, what if I would have you like arrange one of my songs, but then like with like multiple voices, and then we would like perform it. and it's sort of like, didn't really think about like doing like shows or anything, but just like escalated from her creating something that was really beautiful to also me getting super excited for the idea, and then finding these other singers and just putting everything together. And the more that we did, there's just something so incredibly satisfying about singing with a group. It really there are emotions like spark there that are just very, very unique. And that's how everything got started. And then I kept arranging some music, and we recorded some things in the studio, like basically to promote it, to see if we could book some shows. And it came out so nice that I felt like, you know what, let's release it. And it just kept escalating every time. And it's been a beautiful experience. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that there's no shortage of work out there for someone like yourself, and that you have your hands in so many things. What does the future hold? Where do you see your career going? I mean, in many ways, you've been at it for a while, but in other ways, I feel like you're just getting started. So where do you see your career going, and where do you want the next 20 years to go?
Listen, if I can just keep making music the way that I do, which is very free of compromises, and I'm super blessed that I have not the largest fan base, but a very passionate, dedicated group of fans that will follow me whatever the hell I decide to do next, which is very kind. So to be able to keep doing this, then that would be fantastic. I'm currently working on a solo album. I don't know if maybe you've heard, but like 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and going through the process is something that I really wanted to write an album about, and I'm finally doing it. And I'm very excited with how it's coming out. So I'm working already with some people to do arrangements, and hopefully, start recording something next year. Also looking forward to see what else we can do with Stream of Passion. So yes, maybe some more shows with Harmonies Unveiled. So a little bit of everything, basically.
It's good to keep busy, right?
Yeah.
Anything else, Chris?
I'm trying to think. We definitely want you to come back to the U.S. at some point for sure. So.
Things are not easy.
I know.
Tell me about it. Speaking of which, The Gathering is actually playing at the final version of ProgPower, or Glenn's version of ProgPower next year. So we're excited to, just the way that you were a little girl and got to see Anneke with The Gathering, we finally get to do it after decades. So we're very excited about that.
You're gonna love it. It's I got to see them here in Nijmegen, and it was just incredible. Yeah, it was great.
That's great.
Before we reached out to you for the interview, I spoke to a friend, Caleb, who he was him and Justin were two of the people that told me I needed to listen to Stream of Passion, and he had mentioned to me, and I feel like I would have to mention this, that back in the day, he used to go into, I forgot if it was IRC or some sort of chat group, and he would talk to you about coding. He would talk to you about coding, computer stuff or whatever. And he was like, Marcela was so fun to talk to, and we would just talk about music and coding. I was like, that's awesome.
That's great.
I will tell her that when we
talk. Oh my God. Caleb. It must have been like centuries ago.
Oh yeah. But yeah. She's very nice. So if you get a chance to talk to her, I'm sure she'll be very, very nice to talk to.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, it is maybe 7 billion people, but it is a very, very small world. It's incredible sometimes.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I know that when I was still living in Mexico and all of these tools started popping up, Jesus, I feel 1,000 years old. But anyway, I also was in touch with a lot of people from like the Netherlands and everything, that I'm thinking, sometimes I think like I should like look them up, see what happened to them. So I have no idea what happened to them. Yeah. But it's, I think when you come into this like little world of metal music, and definitely Prague is like a very it's a small circle, and definitely wherever you go, you feel like you belong among the Prague fans, and I love that. I don't know if you've ever
that's the vibe that we would.
yeah.
That's the vibe we would get when we would go to ProgPower, and there'd only be about 1,000 people there, and everyone's just like, you're wearing a shirt from a band that like you could walk into anywhere in the United States, a supermarket or whatever, no one would know what that shirt is, and then you go to ProgPower, and they're like, oh yeah, Stream of Passion, that's awesome, and then you have like a friend, and then you end up making a friend for life.
Yes.
From a 3-second interaction. I remember one time I was wearing a Divided Multitude shirt and I was going to 7-Eleven to pick up like a case of beer or something like that. And the cashier was like, is that a shirt about math? And I'm like, yeah, it is. It was easier to just say that than explain.
Yes,
but then you wear that same shirt to ProgPower and everyone's like, oh, Divided Multitude, that's great. I love Pyramids. Like, So there's something that I think, you feel like welcome into this like small community, and there's something really warm about it. And it's like, my girlfriend loves Taylor Swift, but like, and a lot of people love Taylor Swift, but I'm like, we're getting to talk to Arjen and Marcela, and it's like, like that kind of, being able to have that sort of connection is amazing to me. And that, like the artists are so, like, we've met so many artists over the years via the podcast and via ProgPower that are so, like, just warm and so like just grateful that you even know their material, and it's so cool to me. Like it's like, no, we're the fans, like, and they act like they're fans of you for being a fan, and it's such a cool, like, I love it. I never get tired of being a part of this community. I've made so many like lifelong friends and got to speak to so many interesting people, and Justin can definitely echo those sentiments. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's one of the coolest like fan bases, I think, to be a part of.
Absolutely, and it's a good way to circle back to embrace the storm, because this is something that I absolutely 100% learned from Arjen back then, that I'm still very grateful for. That unending gratitude to his fans, and the unending giving to his fans. Like, it doesn't matter how tired we are. After the show, we are going to go and say hello and hang out with people and make sure that, like, everyone that wants to take a picture takes a picture, and chat with everybody. Because you also get a very good feeling, like, are people digging it? They would do good. No, but it's just, it makes everybody's experience way nicer, and, it's to always make time and always be kind to the people that spend their hard-earned cash.
People remember those interactions for the rest of their lives. It means the world to them. Yeah. So, it's
There's an old adage here, don't meet your heroes. And I think that that's just because one negative experience can really tarnish your connection or relationship with the music or an athlete or whatever it is that you look up to. Yeah. So, it's nice and refreshing when that is not the case, as it is with so many people in the community that we're a part of. So, I'm glad you brought that up.
I have a response to that, Justin, and I'll just say, so this past year at ProgPower, I finally got to meet Tommy Johansson, who's just one of my heroes, and he could not have been a nicer and more wonderful human being. And so I said to myself, people say don't meet your heroes. I say get better heroes.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. That was very profound, Chris. I like that a lot. It's good. I want to thank you, Marcela, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. We look forward to hearing more from you and the music that you create. So thank you for your time. And where can people find you and your material?
Well, everywhere you look for Marcela Bovio, marcelabovio.com, or on socials. I read everything that you send me. It might take me a while to respond, but I respond to everything that I get. So yeah, get in touch. Come over, see a show. Let me know what you think of the music.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for joining us here at the Metal Exchange.
Thanks, Marcela.